Hey guys, Sierra Bailey here with Accel Commercial Real Estate. The video you're watching ties into our event in June, Accelerate. If you want to learn more about what you see today, scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description to get your tickets now before early bird pricing runs out. Enjoy the video.
But you and I've had conversations about catching people doing something good, and I think, especially if you have an on-site property manager, sometimes it may not even be, they're not there full time, but they're there for 2 or 3 days out of the week. Wouldn't it be great that if they're billing you for a certain amount of time, that you can actually see that they're actually there? And the other thing that I've had a property owner say, that when the property manager came up, they're all sweetness to you as the owner, but they are an absolute jerk to the tenants. And they are, because they don't care, they're getting paid and they don't think they're being monitored. And it makes it such a hostile environment that that the tenants are not going to stay. The other one is when vendors come onto the property to install cables, to fix things. If you've got a facilities guy, they're climbing on the roof, they're installing HVACs, whatever. Think about the liability, the potential liability of them being on your property and them doing something shady, especially if they come and they see things that they like, and then they come back later and stuff starts disappearing, right? Because the person they were the cheapest bid for you, and then what? So there's a lot of reasons, but my favorite one is the catching somebody doing something good. It's when you see that property manager welcoming people and doing the tour, and they're cheerful and they're really selling it, then you can send them a bonus or send them, random stuff, not every single time, gamify it so that they don't know when to expect it, but that you're lifting the level of performance for whatever it is. And I think that kind of goes with any person. For children, when you catch them something good. I found, at least I have 4 sons, and I think this principle is universal, that if I praised that one for doing something, oh, thank you so much for putting that cup in the sink, then I can see the other ones going, stink eye to that guy because you've got the praise, but then all of a sudden they go and they put their cups in the sink. And when I see that behavior, then I'm like, oh, awesome, you too, great. All of a sudden now all of them put it, instead of me saying, go put that in the sink, you lazily worthless, whatever. Me praising the one for doing that increased and change the culture and the temperature for all of them. And I think in the case with employees, especially on-site property managers, and they may just be a showing assistant, they may not even be the actual person.
How often have you guys been on a property before and an HVAC truck or a plumbing truck trapped you in the driveway? Does that ever happen to you?
That happens to me.
It happens,
Yeah.
happens to you?
Well, I'm on
It doesn't happen
lots
to
of property.
them. So it happens to women. And the majority of these are guys. It doesn't happen. So that must be why. Because you guys are like flexing up. Hey, you park me in and we're gonna have a problem. But it does happen to me too. Yeah. So we're in there together. Now, here's a great way to solve that, is when they do park correctly, or you see them pull up and they may be on the camera, you see them, because see, most of the time, they're coming. They set an appointment. Oh, the plumber's gonna be here at 10. Okay. So like, guess what? You just set an alarm on your phone for 9:50 and then you start watching. And so then you see them pull down and they're like, perfect, they got the right spot. Take a picture of it, send it to the business owner, or that particular guy may be the owner who's in the vehicle, and say, I appreciate where you parked, because everyone can now get out. It does a whole bunch of things, that little picture. First of all, they know you're watching. Okay, that's the biggest. But second of all, they know that that's what you expect. you're inspecting what you expect. You don't want, they're not the number one. The number one's your tenant. They're the ones paying you. And if they're parking you in, you're pissing off your tenants. That's not what you want. You want to get a guy in and out, get a girl, whoever's doing the work, you want it to be nice and clean. And so showing up punctual, you let them know, hey, you're on time, thanks. You parked in the right place, great. You also, right then, they also realize, well, you knew all those things. So therefore, that means you're going to know how long I was here. Exactly. You could even say goodbye to them. Hey, good job. I appreciate that. I see that you put up the box. I see that you got everything. You didn't leave the big, box that the AC unit came in right there, where I'm going to have to deal with it later. I appreciate that. Taking pictures of whoever's mowing your grass. I appreciate you stripe the lines. Just take a picture of them striping the lines and sending it to them. That's what makes the system effective, but it puts you at the property. See, that the problem isn't a property manager. The problem isn't, you don't have enough employees. The problem is you can't be everywhere all the time. That's the problem. Everything else are symptoms of that being the main problem. And that's what the camera can do, but you got to make it everyone aware. Because see, the stats say that 9 out of 10 times before you're vandalized or broken into, the person has been on the property before. So I'm not saying every HVAC guy is bad. Absolutely not. But if I can, how they say in the Bible, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. Okay, have you guys heard that before? It's a pretty good theory, all right? And if that's a good theory, I don't want to really argue with the Bible. I'll just go with it, okay? And so okay, then what do I need to do to get in the idle mind? I let them know that I'm watching. I can't tell you, if any of you guys have ever come over to my place, and I know when you're going to come, I strive to meet you outside, and I always say to you, I saw you coming before you knew you were coming. It's like, that camera right there, because I've got a camera that shoots right up the driveway.
I've been to his house.
And I practice what I preach. I have lived in my place, and I have 3 kids, 18 years. Now, why did I say I have 3 kids? Well, one's 26 now, one's 21, and then the youngest is 15. And I have still yet today been rolled toilet paper, forked, the doo-doo on fire in a bag, egged. None of those things have happened to me. And my 2 oldest are boys. Okay. I'm not saying boys are bad and girls are good, but I know my oldest son wasn't the most innocent. And I happen to know that he went out with 2 other houses because I busted him on it when he snuck out because he was all on camera, and seeing him come back. And so busting him was easy. But what he did, which was stupid, was he went out with 2 other guys from 2 different houses, and they went out rolling. Then him and the other kid doubled back on one of the other kids and rolled his house. So why I was so furious is like, that's stupid. They're going to react and come on us. I don't want to get rolled, and you're not going to clean it up as good as I will. So that means I'm going to be one climbing up in the tree and taking down the toilet paper. And this was when we were also having a lot of people coming in and out of our house from work and stuff, because we were actually in transition. This was when we first got to Franklin. But anyways, and so I was like, I don't want that. And he was like, Dad, just chill. It's like, well, I was like, why? It's like, because everyone knows we have cameras. I was like, wow. And because they do. When they would come over, when I'd have a party, I did this recently. My daughter, who's 15, when she was 12, she was in the Shrek in the musical play, and we hosted the party. I thought stupidly that parents would arrive. I didn't realize that the parents just drop off the kids at your house, and we were going to have 60 kids running all the place. And we had gotten that green Shrek cake. I meant, it's going to be, I'd probably have to replace my carpet. Okay, so what I did is I made sure my television, instead of being off. And so what I do is I put them on my TVs. And then this little remote control, the same one that you turn TVs off on, has an input button. and I just hit the input and I go from ESPN to my porch. And so what was cool is kids love being on TV. And so they'd come walking by and they're like, oh, wow. And I was like, yeah, that's out there. And they're this 2 seconds later, you'd see one out there, one in here, and you sit there going like this and doing like that. And they're all laughing. They're taking pictures of them on TV. You know, and it's just like, you know, it's like you can take a picture of you, you know, it's like, but the fact that you're on TV is like the coolest thing in the world. And so the reason why I tell you all that is the end of the night, was there green crap all over my carpet? No, because all I had to do is that, and then occasionally say like, so yeah, there's cameras everywhere. And so I'll know who doesn't put up their stuff, or I don't know who makes the biggest mess. So, and just by kind of joking around, I'm still a cool dad. Okay. by joking around and
Not a
just,
creeper at all.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else I think, I learned this, so we've got the ubiquitous Ring doorbell. We didn't get it until May, right? We have a mutual friend that's a roofer, and we got a leak in our roof, and I found out that had my Ring been installed earlier, I could have used that as evidence for that there was a hail event in March. And we now are having to go through all kinds of heck to try to prove that never mind that all the houses all around us all had the same hail damage and have all had their roofs replaced. So if you own a multifamily and you've got cameras and you have a hailstorm that's going to ruin, because if you've got multiple roofs, you're going to want to have cameras, because hail can hit these two and not this one, right? So you want to have them where you can show that specific weather event for you to be able to claim, to be able to get your roofs replaced because of hail damage. And I was just like, oh man. And so for us, the difference is it's going to be my roof there. They're quoting me at around $40,000 to $45,000 to get my roof replaced. That's kind of a big ouch. How much is a Ring doorbell? Like $165. I could have gotten that earlier and that would have solved that problem. So if you take that concept and put that into whatever insert your property type, whatever it is, and you have a camera that can, even if all it did was just record weather events, never mind all the other things. Because what is the single most expensive? Well, there's two. What are the two most expensive things? Capital improvements that you can make on a property: roofs and parking lots, right? So if you have a weather event and you can't demonstrate that there's direct correlation to the damage that happened to the weather event, then you're gonna get your claim denied.
Lightning strikes.
Lightning strikes,
So
yeah.
That shows up really good on surveillance. It's like this big bright light, and then all of a sudden no more recording because the surveillance camera got zapped.
So what's the funniest thing you've ever seen?
There's lots of funny stuff.
People dropping things, people just being ridiculous.
Yeah, we've got that in our own office.
Oh.
So,
So do they do that on purpose to just be silly, or?
Lacey, our office manager, who's been with me for almost 20 years. I've got her falling over in chairs on a regular basis because she'll start laughing and she just like kicks back and doesn't realize her balance has now gotten too far.
Oh dear.
And yeah, we had to let go of telemarketing. We haven't had, the reason why actually we sold our property was because we stopped telemarketing. We had a telemarketing room. So I didn't need that size anymore. We had gotten to the point where we've been in business so long and just growing our customer base. So anyways, we had a telemarketer a long time ago that she literally
Can't go on camera.
Okay. She was like, I'll get to the camera edge because that's what she was doing. She was like looking down the hallway, and then she goes back into the kitchen and she got out Maggiano's. Is that what I said?
Maggiano's.
Maggiano's. She got out the Maggiano box that was another telemarketer's. And then she backed back up, looked down the hallway, then she puts it in the microwave, heats it up, and then she goes to her cubicle. And this is all on camera.
So she was
Yes.
taking other people's
Yeah.
lunch.
And
What a
so,
bully.
then so the other girl comes to me and tells me, and I was like, all right, well, it's gonna be on camera. I mean, good God. And so I was like, well, how would you like to handle this? And so ultimately we just announced it, and then she didn't admit. So then you're like, all right, now we're getting to a point where this is gonna turn into something kind of silly, to a termination. You know, 'cause and she was a good telemarketer. But she wouldn't admit. And I was like, I got you on freaking camera, still in Maggiano's. I mean, she was like, well, she got that one free. You know, because the second one you get free.
That's how she justified
I was
it.
like, that doesn't even make sense.
So-
You still paid $30 for the first pizza and you got the second one free, but I mean, that's still $30. To me, that's $15 you just took from it.
All right, so if you have, let's say you have a multifamily property. Typically, what would be, if you had 3 cameras, 5 cameras, what would be the typical minimum that you would at least have on the property, and where would you typically put them?
All right, that's a really good one, because really one camera will have such a major impact if you use it. And you get a point of some diminishing returns. So it's really using one camera, starting with one, and as you see how good you're using it, and or your property manager, or hopefully both. All right, here would be a great spot. Does your community have the school buses? Do you allow school buses on some of your larger apartments? Definitely. The school bus will literally pick up on your apartment complex. That would be a perfect place for one camera and allow the community to see it. Why? Wouldn't every parent want to see their kids get on and
That's
specifically
actually a really good idea.
off of the bus? Okay, so at the end of the day, they're like at 3 o'clock, they're still working, and they could see their kid actually get off the bus and go the right direction. And who are they with? But here's the bigger reason. Today's kids are all armed with these. Okay, so the moment you allow the community to see it, what's going to happen? They're going to put it on there, and they're going to do the same thing I was telling you earlier. They're going to get off the bus and go, hey, they're going to call their buddy, look at me. They're going to be going like this and doing all that. But here's the thing: is who does the vandalism? Who does the spray paint? Who does the keying of the cars? Who does who does most of the crap? The parents or the kids?
That's not the community.
And the majority of the time it's younger people. And so think about what you're doing. That means you've got younger people showing younger people that at our community, we have a camera system. So you're getting the right people telling the right people the right thing in a really good, fun way. Okay. And what that then does is similar. That's just another one of those specific things. If you target, you can get so many other results in your community. So if you just target hey, I want everyone to watch as much as possible. If you have a kid, I want you to be able to see them get on the bus, get off the bus, make sure you report anything. If you see anything, maybe if a car goes by and doesn't stop for the bus, if if a kid does, throws down trash or, blah, 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 and just go over a lot of those things, and you really push that one thing. Before you know it, the kids will then look at other cameras. Now, those other cameras don't have to be of the same quality. They just need to work. They don't have to be, you don't have to invest as much in the other cameras if you're using that one camera that way.
How would you have the parents be able to do that? Do you have an
The
app?
app is free.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you would do is, this is what we do at daycares all the time.
Such a good idea,
So-
don't you think?
So a daycare, and they typically pay for it too. You can even have the tenants pay. So you guys can make money off of this product.
There
once
you
buy it.
go.
And I'm not,
Charge them
none of this,
$15 a week
none
or
of
a
this
month
means I
to
make money.
be able to see their kids get off the bus?
Yeah.
That's a
So-
great idea.
So you could,
We need to add that to our pro formas, Brian.
expect,
I just wrote it down.
Good, good.
especially like if you, let's say you're investing in a condo. All right, so you're investing in a condo and now you're renting to, someone there. Wouldn't you want to see who's going in and out of the condo? What cars are being parked, the mattresses, everything that's taken away from your investment.
That's true.
And so therefore, wouldn't you be willing to pay $10 a month more to see, your car parked? Think about this. If you're renting a condo and you're offered for $10 more, $20 more, whatever a month, you can see the camera that's associated with where you park, which means you can see your vehicle. Now, who cares more about a vehicle? A police officer, a security guard, or the owner of the car?
Clearly the owner of the car.
Yeah, exactly. Really, the other two could care less, okay? Unless they're gonna make money watching your particular car, you could, hire them or whatever. But the point is, you care about your car, and now you can see it. So if you see some Joe around there, let's call him Joe, around there milling around your car, you can now call the police yourself, and you actually don't even have to get involved. Call the police, hey, there's a dude sitting on my hood right now. And if you don't come and get him to move, there's going to be an altercation, okay? Because he's like on the car. Then you can even give that username and password out, which would be for that particular camera to the police. So it's really easy. And think about this, and a lot of people don't realize this, but all cruisers have a laptop with the internet in them. They can pull up that camera en route. That puts the police in the know. That keeps them from harm's way because they're in the know. Typically, when problems happen, it's because they got involved in something that they weren't prepared for. So that's why cameras are the police officer's best friend when they're using it. When the police officer gets caught doing something bad, then it's not their best friend, but they didn't know there was a camera. That's why they did that. Okay. When Rodney King was getting a beat down, if someone had said, hey, police, do you realize they're filming this? Do you think they would have kept beating him? They may have, but they would have taken him someplace else. So.
But he could have escaped at that point.
The point is the camera will prevent it when people know that they're on camera. Okay.
So it's, go ahead. I was just gonna say, do you have anybody have questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So the state of Tennessee, do they allow to have security cameras on like tenants? Like if I have an apartment and I want to install cameras, like right now, we're gonna be closing in 2 properties this week. And we don't know what's gonna happen because when we do the remodel and everything, we don't want anybody going in and steal the HVAC, And so now that you're saying that, I'm thinking about, we're probably gonna have to put cameras on those 2 places before we sell them. So people don't go there and steal our stuff. But my question to you is, in the state of Tennessee, sometimes the law is very, very strict with the landlord, and it looks like it supports more the tenant. So is there any violation if I put cameras on somebody's apartment, like one of my tenants?
Are you talking inside or outside?
I mean, I can put it on the outside, but you know how people are, they don't.
Yeah.
they don't-
You're perfectly, it needs to be where you can see it. Okay. So the camera doesn't need to be concealed, doesn't need to be hidden. You hide a camera, you're really crossing a line that I wouldn't suggest. So, but see, we have been talking about that. We've been talking about preventing. So it needs to be seen. And if it's on the outside, you're completely fine. Tennessee is a one-party state, by the way. So what does that mean? That means
Only one person has to know.
only one side has to know in order to take it to court. And that's just really the use in court. You can do it anyways, because you can say, hey, I'm using it. We're just gonna have an argument and I'm gonna prove my argument. I'm gonna prove I'm right. Okay, so, but if we're gonna go to court, as long as one of us knew that it was on, then that would work also. The problem is let's say Greg and Jana and I are in this argument. And you two don't know that there's cameras, and you guys get in an argument, and then you guys want to go to court against each other. Even though I'm present and I knew that there was a camera, I'm not one of the two parties. Okay,
Okay.
so that at that point, neither party knew. That would get thrown
We've got to
out.
find out whether,
Yeah.
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 All those arguments you and I have, right?
The biggest thing on, like when we do, when we get in assisted livings. Okay, so we do a lot of assisted living. We'll do all the hallways. We'll be all over the inside. But what we can't do is you can't with a surveillance camera. Sure, okay. Well, that's actually probably perfect. That looks at this door. A surveillance camera can't look past a full door into a bathroom. So that's one of the only really big interior laws. Now, in assisted livings, you also, that's where the applied consent doesn't really follow, because some of the people don't have the cognizance of giving their applied consent, because you've wheelchaired them and they're just sitting there, they don't have the ability to leave. They're in a wheelchair and they don't even know that they're on camera because they're, unfortunately gotten to that point of life. So there, but when the camera is in the common area, you're able to do that. So typically where you can't do when you start to get to a point where you're having that type of a person, common area is fine. Rooms, no.
So do you only just do, and I already know the answer to this, so I'm leading the witness, if you will, but do you only just do the state of Tennessee?
Oh, the apartment industry has been my largest the last 5 years, and that is because of apartments. The last 5 years it's been apartments is my largest, and it's been because of travel. It's outside the state. We did all of the properties for a particular customer over off of 8th is where their office is, and they had a partner that had an apartment complex in Knoxville, so we did that. And then that got us to go up to Ohio. And then that got us to Kansas City. And then that got us to Reno. And then that got us, I skipped Fargo, North Dakota, which I went. Actually, I went to all of these locations because I like to travel anyways. So, but Fargo, North Dakota is cool. So I even watched the movie Fargo before going. And I ran out of gas right before I got there. And because there's nothing there until you get there. And I was like 5 minutes away and I was panicking, trying to look for gas for like the last hour. And so anyways, the guy that was in the vehicle, I was like, it was my fault. I'm the driver, you stay. I'm going to go run and get help. And as I'm running this fence line. It's like really long and straight. I'm like, isn't this where he buried the money on? So people that watch Fargo got that. So everyone else.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you see, be sure to follow our Generational Wealth Learning series. On select Thursdays, we offer cutting-edge industry information that would normally cost thousands of dollars. And the best part, our education is absolutely free. If you register through our events page, you can join us live, either in person or over Zoom. In the meantime, like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a beat.